So, when you're routing, what can you remember from routing?
Counterclockwise.
What?
Counterclockwise.
Counterclockwise. What's that mean? Think about it like a clock. 12. 1, 2, 3. You want to go the opposite direction. That's the direction that you need to go. Okay? If you go clockwise, here's what happens. It grabs like a tire and it's going to go around your piece. Okay? You don't want that. So you go counterclockwise because then the direction of feed feeds into the cutter. Now, I just need to tell you it's opposite for a handle. If you're inside, it's opposite. So you go counterclockwise here, then when you get here, you go clockwise. When you route, always start on a side grain. So you're going to start on an edge over here or an edge over here. Don't start near a corner on either end. Start halfway or so on either side. Like I said, I'm going to run a chamfer. It's not going to take a great deal of material off, but it's going to be, it'll just leave a subtle little clean line, and I kind of like that look. Most commonly, like I said, you get chamfers and roundovers on cutting boards are normally what people like. But if you decide that you want to do something different, I'm not the router police. 2 hands. You got a router mat down so that it's not going to slide around on you. You get yourself in position that you got control. Make sure that it stays tight to the edge, especially around corners. You can always stop, like at any point, if you feel like you need a breather to get resituated, by all means, stop, take a breather. The reason, normally you would leave it sit like right here, wait for it to stop spinning. Now you can set it down, do whatever. The reason that you start here and here is that's gonna minimize how much it chips out. These aren't going to chip out a lot because you got the radius corners, but I am going to tell you that when you get to square corners, you're going to have chip out at corners. It's better to just learn this practice of starting in the middle of an edge. So now I'm going to route inside my handle. Wait for it to be done spinning. Then you can remove it, set it down, do your thing. Immediately unplug it in the case that you would end up being working around the bit or somebody else would come up and flip a switch or do something foolish. That's where you're at. Questions? Following this, you're gonna do a final sanding. Start with, I'll hand out sandpaper here shortly. Start with your lower number grits. Okay, those are your rougher sandpapers, and then work your way up to smoother. We're gonna start with about 100 grit, and on these we're only gonna work our way up to 150. So we'll go like 100, 120, 150. We might hit it with a little bit of 180 or 220, but that'll be just like a final sanding right before we hit them with mineral oil. The one thing that I'm gonna tell you right now, like you can see my name still on it right here. I'm not gonna erase that and sand that until I'm like ready on my downhill stretch. And then just as a kind of an FYI for you guys, You're gonna sand these up, you're gonna do all your preparation, you're gonna make it ready for mineral oil, but we're not gonna oil them till after they're graded. So what's gonna happen is you're gonna have it, then the day that it gets graded, we'll erase our name off of it, we'll sand that portion that we left kind of till last, and this will take 2 minutes to sand this little part right here because it's already been wide belt sanded. It's already, you know, nice and flat. I can do all the rest of the stuff. I can hit my corners. I can touch up anything else, any burn marks, anything that, any imperfections. I want to touch that up with sandpaper now. Later on, right before we hand it in, then we'll remove our name off of it. When you hand it in, you'll hand in your project procedure sheet. Stapled with it will be an evaluation sheet. And what you'll do is you'll put that sheet down, you'll put yours on top, so I will know each and every person's that, oh, I lift it up and I'll be able to see that's the person that owns this cutting board. Then the day that I hand them back to you, I'll give it back to you with your evaluation sheet so that we know that it's yours. And then you can oil it and take it home that day or the day after if you want to leave it air out and soak in a little better and do a second coat, which I do recommend. But I'll go through that procedure when we get there. But that's it. You're on the downhill slide, and then we'll get going on our tables.